You probably
as
get more.
intense as you want it to
You
be,
probably get more
honestly,
than you
but-
think you do.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
There's one lady, Miss Elaine. She's tough.
Is she?
Whew, she's tough. And I'm the only one. Everybody's always like, "Oh, did you go to Elaine's class? I'm so sore." I'm like, I agree, man.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening. It's Thursday, October 16th, 2025, and I'm calling the regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to session. Could everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nick, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Carpenter? Miss Cindy Smith?
Here.
Miss Diane Smith?
Here.
Miss Perkins?
Here.
And Mr. O'Rourke?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is approval of the regular meeting minutes from September 18th, 2025.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the meeting minutes from Thursday, September 18th, 2025 as presented.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
support.
Okay. We have a motion and support. Nick, could you please call the roll?
Miss Cindy Smith?
Yes.
Miss Diane Smith?
Yes.
And Miss Perkins?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of a variance request from the requirements of Section 3.1.K of the zoning ordinance to permit a rear addition and covered patio containing an approximate 10-foot rear setback exceeding the required 30-foot minimum rear setback at 210 East 14 Mile Road, Renshaw's Lounge. Is there somebody from our planning department wishing to speak on this?
Thank you. Good evening. Stephanie Osborne here with Giffords Webster. As noted tonight, there is a variance request in front of you for an addition to Renshaw Lounge at 210 East 14 Mile Road. The applicant is requesting a variance from the standards for the CMD Central Mixed Use District to permit a rear addition and covered patio. The addition really has two components. The first is a 84 square foot notch in the rear of the building that will be used for interior storage. And the setback for that is just under, it'll have a 25-foot setback, so 5 feet short of what is required for the district. The second part of the addition is a 124 square foot canopy roof over an existing covered patio that's also located behind the building. The extended canopy will cover the full existing patio. And this roof structure is proposed to have a 10-foot rear setback, which is deficient 20 feet from the requirements. The addition otherwise appears to comply with all the zoning requirements. The Planning Commission did meet earlier this week at their October 14th meeting and approved the plans contingent on approval of the variance. The surrounding properties, most of them do comply with the 30-foot rear setback requirement. In terms of the hardships and the request, the applicant has provided a written statement with the application that's included in your packet. And then in terms of other zoning standards, again, this application appears to comply with all the other relevant zoning standards. Our memo on page 2 at the bottom has the list of 5 criteria for review of variances. The ordinance states that a non-use dimensional variance may be allowed by the Zoning Board of Appeals only in cases involving practical difficulties when the evidence in the official record of an appeal supports all of the following findings. And then there are the 5 findings that are listed. I'll also note that the board shall impose such conditions and requirements in connection with any decision to grant a non-use or dimensional variance as it shall deem reasonable to minimize any potential detrimental effects of its decision and to promote the purposes of this article or which justifiably arises from the circumstances of the request. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I believe the applicant is also here. And one other note, since the membership tonight is just 3, you would need a 3-0 vote for it to be approved.
Okay. Are there any questions for our planner?
Just to clarify, inclusive of that new roof for the outdoor patio, that whole thing is still in line with the building, is that correct? It said the east and south sides, so it's basically just taking that notch and covering all that up?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
no-
making the nonconformity any worse?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Cindy, do you have any questions?
I just have a question as far as structuring it. If it's 2 parts, why is it only in one requested variance? Should we break it up into 2?
Good question. The proposal comes in front of you as one unit, and so really you're looking to approve the biggest variance there of the 20-foot variance for the covered patio area. Although you may, if you want to cover all your bases, you could do each one individually. Do you have any other?
No, I think the one should be able to cover both.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question about something that was in the applicant's statement, that they commented that there was a zoning change in this area. Is that true?
So the CMD district several years ago changed standards as well, like the core residential district that happened, I believe about 8 to 10 years ago is when they made that transition. And so some of the standards along with that changed. Now the building, the rear portion of it, GIS shows that it's been there since at least 1963, and they have had additions to the front of the property, so closer to 14 Mile. So just for some other historical context as well. So that building's been there for at least 60 years in that location.
So so it is true then that the zoning changed, you said, about 10 years ago?
Yes.
About 10 years ago, and at that point, it was a 10-foot setback.
I do not know for certain.
Okay.
It could have been more than that. I just don't know for certain. But I do know that the building itself has been there. So whether the zoning could have changed since 1963 before when that building was constructed.
Is there an existing variance on the books for this property?
Not that we were able to locate.
So when they made their additions, some years ago, they didn't add anything onto the back. It was just they just pushed out to the front to 14 Mile.
Correct.
Okay. Has that patio always been there?
I think since COVID.
The applicant may be able to speak to that as
Okay,
well.
okay.
So I guess to your point, in other words, you're trying to establish whether or not 10 feet was fine back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
so it
right.
sounds like we don't really have historical knowledge of it, and we're gonna assume that it was. I mean, it is unusual that that is really the only building that goes back that far, but it's also, well, they're all narrow plots, but, I mean, I guess we're just gonna assume that that's the case,
Okay.
right? I'm
Well,
thinking?
we can ask the
Yeah,
applicant that.
for sure.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions for our planner at this point?
I do not have any.
I don't, other than, I was looking at the materials and everything, they point out that there's no EVIS being used, so everything looks good to you as far as what the outside materials are gonna be consistent with the rest of the building, I'm assuming. I mean, that's what it looked like to me.
Yes, it's compliant with all the city standards outside of this one setback,
Right.
including building materials.
Okay, thank you. I do want to mention too, if it's of any interest, I did watch the portion of the Planning Commission meeting where they spoke about it, and it seemed that they were all in agreement that it was fine. The only thing they did mention was there was some rooftop units that they wanted to be addressed, so that was a caveat in their acceptance of it. But they said that that was nothing that needed to come before us, as far as I'm remembering. That was a planning thing, just because they wanted the whole thing to be covered, but they seem not to have any issues with
With the addition?
the addition.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, there's no other questions for the planner. Is there somebody here from the applicant wishing to speak? You just approach the podium and state your name and address.
Yes, I'm Matt Badrak, 336 Ridge Road in Grosse Pointe Farms. I'm the designer for this project.
Okay,
The client, Mike Lang, the ownership, is here too. He can answer some operational questions if you have them, but I can answer some technical questions. Yes, actually, I came before you back in 2018 for the House of Optical. And at that time, both of these properties were city center zoning, and city center doesn't have a rear yard setback like this building, so it was much less restrictive. So the rezoning did make this a non-compliant setup. But we are generally, I mean, I think you get, we're just filling in the empty corner of the site for the building, and if you want to separate this from patio and building, what's important is the building for function and operation of the kitchen, because we're able to shift some stuff around and make the kitchen significantly more functional. So that's the goal with this. We're not adding occupant load, we're not adding seating, it's just function of the kitchen. So we're just matching the existing corners, so filling in that square. It's already a concrete slab out there, so we're not adding more impervious surface, both there on the building or on the patio. So we are extending the patio just to cover and square off the rest of the building, and everything just aligns with what's there. So the nonconformance or the, we're not increasing, we're not coming any closer to the property line or any closer with the building than the existing building is. Actually, the property line slopes backwards, so we're actually less as we go because the building is not parallel to the back, and the back property line sort of peels away a little bit. So it's actually we're 25 feet on one side of the building on the west side, and we're like 25'3" or something like that on the other side. I'm looking at my drawings here, but so it's just a little bit skewed. So we're not increasing the existing nonconformance.
and then what year did you say you worked on the House of
It was
Optical and the city center zoning was different at that?
2018? Right, so we presented a plan, we updated our site plan based on the new zoning for this project, so we had all that data from back in 2018.
Okay. Nick, did we do a zoning change after 2018?
Yes, it was then. That was just before I started working at Clausen. I couldn't remember the exact timeline of when the city center was, I guess, shrunk down. They added the CMD, which is essential mixed use, which is where this property is located now. So,
Okay,
yes, that is correct.
okay, thank you.
And we did position, I mean, obviously, it's the most sensible place for this to be, where it doesn't take up parking or any of that stuff. So it's really the best spot within there, because it is function. If we were to add under the front of the building, then that's sort of like moving everything up. So this is the most practical location for this addition to take place.
And you're not extending the size of that patio back there?
No.
You're just putting a canopy
Right,
over
just
it?
extending the canopy. The patio is already the size it is. We're not extending the patio, because then it would go into the parking lot. So we're not doing that.
Okay,
Yeah, Madam Chair, I pulled it up on Google, and you can see they can't really even go any farther. There's just like a little strip. So, I mean, they are just filling it in. If you
Okay.
want-
okay. I went back there and took pictures.
Yeah, so you saw the same, yeah.
And then the folks that use the patio, are those just, and maybe this is a question for the applicant, are those customers, or are they staff that use that patio back there?
You want to answer? Both.
Okay, so could you come up, if you don't mind, just approach the podium and state your name and address?
My name is Mike Lang. I live in Troy at 2870 High Lane. So the back area is primarily used for deliveries, egress for the customers. There's two entrances to the operation, in the front and the rear. So the covered area is used for the customers or the employees as well, when they're maybe having a smoke break, or just, covered area for deliveries. We have a lot of deliveries on a weekly basis.
Okay,
So having a landing area that is protected from the weather and the snow and the rain is operationally advantageous.
okay. Do you have music back there?
No,
Okay,
there's no service. There's nothing. People can go back there and
Okay.
have a cigarette.
okay,
And it gives them enough distance from the door where it's not a problem.
okay,
Because the state law is 20 feet, I believe. So it actually helps with that a little bit, because it can get them further away from the back door.
okay, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for the applicant?
None? Thank you.
Any questions?
No, it's very well laid out, and I understand the hardship to me seems obvious, that they're not adding any people.
And I will note, the fire marshal did review as well, and he came to the same conclusion that nothing needs to change on that
Okay.
for the occupancy load.
Have there ever been any noise complaints for the neighbors that are, right by the Renshaw?
Not that we have on file, but the Renshaw Senior Apartments is owned by the city, and we have not gotten any complaints for the residents about that specifically.
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions before I open a public hearing?
No.
No.
Okay. It is 7:47. I'm going to open a public hearing. Is there anybody here wishing to speak about this case tonight?
I just live on Pear Street, I wanted to see how it was, and I thought we were gonna go through the wall, make, Barry told me we were gonna go through the big brick wall right behind it. And I thought we were gonna cut that down, make it bigger, or not, right? Well, is there gonna be a wall that cut down some of the noise?
So, sir,
Yeah.
if you could just, this is a time for the public to speak. If you could just approach the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Jeff Dundell, I live at 115 Pear Street.
Okay.
Which is the street right next to Old Port Inn, which was next to them.
Okay.
Sometimes the sound comes down through the alley and it sounds like they're in my front yard sometimes. It gets loud, like the hockey game or a big game got to get out there. But it's gotten better. But before, I could have swore they were in my front yard. It sounded like they were right in my front yard on my driveway. And I get up and, no, just carried it out. But that's what happened with sports and that. But is there going to be a wall at all?
No, it's just gonna be the existing.
It's still open like it is?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only problem I have. I've been living here for 39 years and.
Well, the good news is we're not gonna have any new customer space. We're just gonna have.
Right.
more room.
But since it's open on the one end, I said the sound comes, the echoes, I mean, it get pretty rowdy out there.
Yeah.
Especially like right before they close, and that's when it gets rowdy, and then everyone peels off, but, yeah, that's the only complaint I have.
Okay.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming. Is there anybody else wishing to speak on this case? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:49. And then I just want to make sure the applicant knows that this is a 5-member board. Only 3 of us came today. The other 2 couldn't make it. And the rules is that has to be a majority in favor. So all 3 of us would have to vote in one way or the other.
So 3 would equal a quorum?
Correct. So everybody here. You have up until the time we take the vote you could listen to our deliberations, and you have time, up until the time we decide to take a vote, you can ask to table it for the next month when we hopefully would have a full board. Or, so I'll ask you, after we deliberate, you can listen, and then I can ask you if you want us to go forward. Okay? All right. Okay. There any comments?
Much akin to the project we had last month. It's not making the conformity any worse. It's filling in that little shape in the back. The plans look nice to me. It looks like that our planner said that all the materials were appropriate, and I think the building always looks nice anyway, so I think they're gonna do a nice job. I noticed that all of the roofing and everything is within the same, line of everything else that's there. I don't see any problem with that. I mean, and they're not adding more people. To me, that was the main thing, like, you're not adding more people. And, to his point, if he can keep people in a difficult job happier and, add more things to the menu, we want to see people in our city be prosperous and keep the business going. So I think, in my opinion, that it's all good.
Okay, all right. Any comments, Cindy?
No, I concur.
Okay, okay. Yeah, my only concern was about making the nonconformity worse. And then just to clarify that there was a zoning change.
Yes. And again, we probably should have included that in the report as well, so sorry for that.
Okay, I just want to make sure, so,
Yes.
okay.
Not that it makes any sense, but had it not been rezoned to this, it was rezoned to city center from city center,
So it-
would they have had to come before our board?
So the city center district typically has a 0-foot setback. Now, there's some standards if it abuts a different zoning or like a public alley, it changes. But if it was just that 0-foot setback, they'd be able to do this without coming to the ZBA.
And then when they made these changes, you were not here, but why would the city want to change it from one to the other? What was the intent for this little portion of 14 Mile?
Yeah, so my understanding was when they were doing this zoning change, the majority of downtown was just zoned city center. And so when they did this, they added the CMD and core residential. So it kind of spreads more naturally from the downtown to the other districts or other business and residential districts. So the core intersection of 14 Main Street is city center. Then you have CMD outside of that, and then outside of that is core residential.
Okay.
As I'm using my hands to show you, it really is helpful.
I understood though, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. My other concern was about noise, but, this gentleman said it was tolerable and nobody else came to complain, and there have been no noise complaints from the apartments.
Yeah, none that we've received.
I never found one official, I just know from my neighborhood. But I know what you're talking about rezoning. They're gonna make-
Would you mind?
They can't hear you on television
As far as
otherwise.
rezoning, while you came in, they were gonna make a Pear Street, a cul-de-sac. When he tore down the house on the end of my street, which is an open parking lot up to the dentist's office right now, but that's what he was rezoning. You were talking about trying to get that last house out, which the lady just passed away. The house is empty now. I don't think it's for sale. As far as I know, but, they were trying to get that house, they're gonna take that house out behind, which is behind Oakport Inn, and backs up to the Renshaw Bar.
I see.
That's why they had it rezoning now, and they're gonna make Pear Street, it comes a cul-de-sac, so you couldn't get on the 14 Mile Road.
Oh,
But that
I get you.
Got wiped out, I guess.
Okay.
Voted down, that's all I
Okay.
can say.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for coming, though. We appreciate your interest in your neighborhood. That's awesome, of course.
And participation, love it.
I walked in and go, no one's here. I go, "Oh."
We were here.
Yep. Okay. Any other discussions? Okay. So it seems like we're about ready to take a vote. Are you comfortable with us proceeding?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just noting the applicant said yes to go ahead and proceed, so I'll entertain a motion.
It's all you.
All right, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the variance as requested from the requirements of Section 3.1K of the zoning ordinance to permit a rear addition and covered patio containing an approximate 10-foot rear setback exceeding the required 30-foot minimum rear setback at 210 East 14 Mile, Renshaw's Lounge.
Support.
I'm not done yet. I have to list
Oh my
the
God, I'm so sorry.
criteria for the variance. As a non-use dimensional variance may be allowed by the Zoning Board of Appeals only in cases involving practical difficulties when the evidence of official record of an appeal supports the following findings. Number one, the practical difficulties are exceptional and peculiar to the property of the person requesting the variance and results from conditions which do not exist generally throughout the city. We've already discussed how that is, how it's a unique property and it's been there for 60 years and they're just filling in the addition. The practical difficulties which will result from failure to grant the variance include a substantially more than mere inconvenience or an inability to attain a higher financial return. Again, they're just fixing the building up to make it better and more usable for their kitchen. Number three, allowing the non-use dimensional variance will result in substantial justice being done, considering the public benefits intended to be secured by this article, the individual hardships that will be suffered by a failure of the board to grant a variance, and the rights of others whose property would be affected by the allowance of the variance. Number four, the variance did not arise from the actions of the applicant or previous landowner. And number five, the requested variance is not based solely on financial need or circumstances. I'd also like to comment that it went through the Planning Commission. They did have an approval and they set some conditions. The applicant's happy to follow those requirements. And do you guys have anything you'd like to add?
I think that was good.
Can we just add that we did confirm that the property was rezoned
Oh, yes.
and made the rear setback bigger?
Yes.
It was rezoned from city center, right, Nick?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the motion, I just have right now the property was rezoned from city center to CMD in 2018, and I'll confirm that year, but as he said, I'm fairly confident that's accurate.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Okay, anything else to add?
I still support.
We have a motion and a support. Nick, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Diane Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Perkins,
Yes.
and Ms. Cindy Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Good luck on your project. Okay. The next item on the agenda is public discussion. Is there anybody wishing to speak just about? Seeing none, I will go into other business. Nick, is there any other business to discuss today?
I'll just cover my staff report.
Okay. All right. Well, the next item is the staff report.
Here we are. Since the last meeting, there has not been any major changes regarding the variances that have been approved previously. Permits have been pulled, and work continues on those. The major item that we wanted to talk about was, I know that previously we've had the conflicting language in the zoning ordinance and the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, which the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act requires a majority of the ZBA, and our ordinance says supermajority, so 4 out of 5 members. And a few months ago, the attorney weighed in on that just because we've had a concern about how we need to have the ZBA vote to approve a variance. And so the Planning Commission approved the ordinance amendment to just follow the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act for a majority, which is, again, what we've been following for the last several meetings, so that the first reading of that ordinance amendment will be going in front of City Council next Tuesday on October 21st.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So we won't have any confusion,
Okay. Great.
hopefully.
Okay. All right. And then I got your email about Mr. Hildebrandt resigning.
Correct.
Okay. Any possibilities for another, because we're short 2 alternates, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
I think technically Mr. O'Rourke, as being the alternate, slides into the full board now. So we do have 2 open seats for the alternate.
Okay.
So I think we have a few other vacancies on other boards and commissions, so we'll be putting that out there to the community. I know people have been very engaged in Clausen with the election coming up, so hopefully we can get some people interested in serving.
That'd be great. Okay.
Happy to answer any other questions.
Should we get T-shirts that said, "Join the ZBA"? Ask me how.
Might work.
We're the fun board.
Right.
We don't meet as often as the others.
Well, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
I support.
okay. Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Motion carried. All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Thank you.
Really? Nobody wants to be on this board?
People
This is the best board.
People should name zoning board of appeals and they're just gonna go, what the heck is that? But
The one that was horrible is the Board of Review. Everybody yells at you, and it's not even your fault that the